So I'm here at the Phillips's Gold Camp in the Casa de Paga River in Alaska, not too far, well, about 80 miles outside of Nome. And we're going to go on a little adventure this morning. We're going to take a four-wheeler and we're going to go from our camp, which is right there. I'm going to take that four-wheeler and we're going to climb the mountain behind me, or a giant hill, and go up to Monument Rocks. This is called the Monument Camp. This was an old GPAA camp back in the day, like 1980s. They actually built the buildings. It's on state land, and Steve and Spencer Phillips have the claim rights on it now, so they get to use the buildings. But we're going to go from these buildings. You can't build buildings anymore on the state lands on your gold claims. So they're really lucky to have snagged this when they did. But we're going to go up the river, through the woods, into Monument Rocks we go. Right up there. We're going to go up the river here. We're going to try to get up past that first snowbank, go up on top and work our way to the top. The tundra can be a little bit nasty in places because it can be very bumpy. There can be sharp rocks, and we're going to try to avoid those. If it gets too rough, we're going to come back because we only have one four-wheeler right now because Bruce wrecked his a few days ago. We haven't retrieved it to repair it. We're going to repair it tomorrow. So there's a view of the Monument Rocks, and that's where we hope to go over the course of the next hour or so, because it's going to take us a while to get up there. So you ready? Let's go! Came up the river, no problems whatsoever. Saw some grayling swimming around, but I think I've caught enough of those for now. Plus I didn't bring my rod and reel. We zipped up the little creek, you saw that, and now we're up on the tundra. And it looks like it's going to be pretty smooth sailing, at least for a while, so the rocks are in sight. Now that's where we're headed. Doesn't look like much from here, but it is. So we're taking our time coming up here across the tundra. It's not nearly as smooth as it looks. There's a lot of bumps, you know, little hillocks and valleys, and it's very wet, of course, so you could possibly get stuck. Plus there's sharp rocks sticking up too, so we don't want to rip the bottom out of the four-wheeler. I'll show you what I mean by the little hummocks and stuff. And this is all a function of where the ground freezes and thaws. You got these little hummocks like this and valleys, and of course these are just soaking wet. There's a big track right there. So we have to pick our way across this carefully, so I don't want to get stuck. Now I've noticed that where the grass is slightly lighter colored, that's easier to drive on. So we're going to scoot, well, you can see the rocks right there. Let's walk over there. And so we're going to scoot over that direction, follow the line up through there, hit the base, and either go straight up, depends on how steep it is, or we'll squirt around to the left side of the hill, because from below anyway, it looks like it was an easier route, but it's hard to see. It's hard to tell for sure until you get up here. That's the camp down in the valley, just to the right of the big snowdrift on the river. It's really hard to hold this thing steady without a tripod on that super zoom. But if you notice in the little clip I hope to show you, you can see that it was really wavy, and it was kind of like, it wasn't just shaking from me or the four-wheeler because I'm not on it. So what those little waves are indicating is hot air that's rising, and it's coming up off of these browner patches, maybe some of the green too, and rising up in the air as thermals, and it's creating these clouds that are all around me. So by the end of the day, just like anywhere, you'll have a lot more clouds than in the beginning. And a good example are those clouds right up in there. You can see those were formed by masses of hot air lifting off of the ground and going up, and as it gets up in the lower upper atmosphere, the air is much colder, so it forms clouds. And you can see how they're flat on the bottom. That's the zone where the superheated air is coming off the ground where we're standing, hits the colder air. So that's where it starts forming the vapor. So you know it's rough up there. If you're a pilot, you know it's going to be rougher when you're flying through those thermals. You can see where some popped off over there too, those little puffs of clouds. That's the hot, and that bigger one in the back. That's where the air's lifting up from where we're standing, way over there, and hitting the cold air. And it's hot out here. It's like got to be in the 70s, and the sun is just broiling. It's just so much stronger, the sun is, than I thought it would be. It's absolutely broiling out here when the sun's out. So I had to stop and strip down some of my clothes because it is, the sun, I mean, it's probably only like 70, but the sun when it comes out is just, I mean, it's like standing in a broiler. It goes behind the cloud, it's cool. Kind of weird. We got a ways to go yet, but we're getting there. Nice view, huh? Love it up here. Really, really nice. If you look over there on the hillside, you can see how the stuff is like slowly working its way down the mountain, all the tundra and what soil there is. I can see like it makes those scalloped things that stick out, and these are the bigger ones. That's how the mountain is basically just melting downhill as it freezes and thaws over the centuries. I think that's just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Not too many animals up here though. Not yet. There's an old bumblebee. Imagine he's after some nectar. Not the metal detecting kind. Just surprised to see those creatures up here where the winters are so long. I wish I had turned the four-wheeler off before I climbed up this rock, but I'm not going to go down and turn it off again. But we made it to the first rock. It's one of several in a line. You can see them behind me, and I think we can get to the others without too much trouble. If you look, there's a lot of sharp rocks here, and I'm going to avoid driving over these. But I think if we take the four-wheeler and back out just a little bit, we can work our way around that green stuff, get on that flat, and just follow that around. I don't think that'll be any problem whatsoever, and make it up to the rest of the rocks, or at least some more of them. Wanted to show you the limestone, or not the limestone, but the quartz in these rocks here. And this can hold gold. See this quartz? That can hold gold. Now I'll probably take my metal detector out here in a few minutes and run it over some of these, see if I can get any squeaks. Can't say that I see any big gold nuggets sticking out of there or any wire gold in it, but I suppose if you could actually see it, they would have mined it long ago. Here's the camp down in the bottom on that last bend where those snowbanks are. Haven't seen any bears up here yet today, but we're ready for them. There's the moonlight camp off in the distance. You can see that speck of blue. That's actually a tarp they put on a roof. But what I want to show you is this line going around the edge of that edge of the mountain there. You can see there's a line. That's the Miocene ditch, and I may have showed you that in another video, or it may be coming up. You can follow it around the edge of the mountain. It goes down. You can see it's dropping lower and lower. So water is going that way down the valley, right across there. It gets kind of faint, but I can still see it. I believe it bypasses that little neck of land sticking out and probably goes down to where the camp is, because that was a major gold strike right there where the camp is located, and they had a lot of equipment set up, and I've showed you that in some of my other videos. So they actually were getting the water from way up that valley, because we followed the ditch around on another trip, and it comes around that way all the way down to the camp. So by the time it gets to the camp, they're running that water through those big pipes that I showed you, and it's creating tremendous amounts of pressure. And they have that fire, like that fire nozzle that would shoot the jets of water into the hillside and just destroy the hillside, melt the permafrost, and all the gold and other stuff would wash down to the bottom of the hill. That's what they must have been doing down at that camp. They must have been using one of those water setups, which I've already forgotten the name again. But I do remember the monitor. So we'll go with that for now. But they were getting the water like 3 miles away, which is kind of amazing to me. Just climbing down off the big rocks there, and I see some bones. I wonder if it's human. I doubt it's human. Probably caribou or something. This is an old bear den. I see more bones scattered back in there. Look, there's a bunch of them back in there. That's kind of weird. Hope there's no Sarah Palins back in that hole. You know, mama grizzlies. All right, let's get back on the bike with a four-wheeler. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the flowers that I'm seeing up here, because I know I've showed them to you in other videos, but I just think they're amazing and quite beautiful. Some pretty white ones. And some small pink ones here. I saw some other neat ones too somewhere just a minute ago. Yeah, let's look at these. They're a little bit gone by, but that's another kind. When I was up by the rock there, I actually saw some other ones that were really cool looking, but I don't see any, so we might have to go up to the rock. Or maybe we'll just keep moving on, and if I see them again. This is a better specimen of one I just showed you. It's a little bit, not quite as gone by. So we made it. And there's bones up here too. Look at this. Some type of creature. Got a claw on it. Poor thing. I've seen more bones up here on top of this mountain than just about anywhere. Well, that was a pretty plant. Not sure what that is either, but I sure do like it. All right, let's go check out these rocks, see what we can see. See if there's any mama grizzlies up here. Sure is pretty. Wow. I guess a little cave out. It's got a caribou antler in it. Wow, that's cool, isn't it? Other bones in there too. I don't know if it's caribou. I imagine someone probably threw that in here. Hard to say how old that could be. Rodents have been chewing on it though. That's cool. Put it back in there, I guess. You can see there's some smaller bones in there too. I don't know what that's to. Probably another squirrel. Let's look around a little bit. See what else is up here. I'm actually kind of glad I brought the handgun with me. See all these bones up here. There's not many places for a bear to hide, but there could be one stashed away in one of these little caves with a few cubs, I suppose. Nice, huh? That's Monument Valley down on the other side. Or Monument Creek is down there too. I know they did some mining down there as well. We did some panning and I did some metal detecting up to about that bend right there. There's some bedrock. But I didn't come up that high because there's too much snow. Yeah, there's a lot of snow in the valleys yet, so we can't go a lot of places. That's kind of a cool formation. I wonder how something like that would form. Those two rocks just left on top. Looks like a sleigh, Santa in a sleigh. We aren't too far from the North Pole. Let's check out these flowers. I keep seeing these. They almost look like strawberries, but I know they're not. Don't know what those are either. A lot of pretty flowers. Nice green grass for the ground squirrels. I saw them eating that down at the camp. That's probably why their bones up here, because they live up here. There's some type of doo-doo. Not sure what that is. Is that wood? Oh. Wonder how that got up here. I mean, there's really no little trees up here. Somebody must have carried it. Something must have carried it. Could have been a bird building a nest, I suppose. We're not going to climb up on top because I don't want to risk getting hurt out here. And having to press the red button on Bruce's satellite phone, because that will dispatch a helicopter to our location and be very, very expensive, I am sure. So got to stay away from the red button. All right, let's look over the other side. We'll grab the metal detector and run it over some of these rocks. Lots of quartz up here. And imagine if there was visible gold, the miners would have torn this mountain down by now, but Who knows, there might be a little bit in there that they can't see that maybe we can hear. So let's go do that next. Then we'll look over the other side. So I've gone over a bunch of the quartz rocks. I'm not really getting any signals in it. Doesn't mean that there's nothing up here, but I'm just not hearing anything, so. It's a little mineralization I think I'm hearing, but not any chunky gold pieces that weigh like an ounce. Alright, that's enough for this spot, I guess. I've actually been looking around for about 15 minutes. Alright, let's go look on the other side of the four-wheeler, see what we have. That little valley there is supposed to have gold in it too. And the Phillipses have a claim down there, and that's where we're going to set up the dredge, that big dredge. But we couldn't get to it because the river was high at the time, although it's low enough now that if we had another person or two to help us move it, we could bring it up here and set it up. But I'm not real familiar with that dredge, so I don't want to move it very far on my own, and Bruce isn't either. So I'd love to go down there and explore a little bit, and we may do that. Those are weird cuts across there. Those don't look natural to me. We might go explore that a little bit. That's a weird line going across there too, weird geologic formation. I don't know what that's all about. Right there. It will certainly never make it over there today, but we might try to go down that valley and look at those little weird cuts on that hillside that I'm seeing. I think we can make it. Do you? I do. Working my way down the hill, and I came across a bunch of feathers. I believe those are probably ptarmigan feathers. They're all white, so that means he was killed in the winter time, or at least close to the winter. I got one on video yesterday, and he was like half brown, half white. Here's a ptarmigan. It's the first one I've seen up here. Makes a weird noise too when they fly, but kind of reminds me of a pheasant more than a chicken. So we're going to try to head up to these other rocks over here. It looks like the grass is greener just the other side of that little knoll, and we'll be able to zip right up it without any problem. So let's give that a shot. So we made it to the biggest of the rocks up here. Again, this is Monument Rocks. I'm not sure which one is the monument or if they're just all Monument Rocks. But it is a fabulous, absolutely gorgeous view from up here. I haven't even been up on the rocks yet, but I can just tell I'm just flabbergasted by what I can see right here. And there's probably not more than a few people in my field of vision up here. You know, Bruce down in that camp. There may be somebody in that other camp way down there now, but who knows. There's a cool little feather. And it's just such a neat feeling being in a place like this. It's so remote that you can enjoy. And the weather's gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. It rained a little bit. A few showers here and there. I guess we're going to have to climb up the rock. Looks like that will be an easy scramble right up there to the top. So let's go check it out. Oh, we made the climb. That rock might actually be a foot or two higher, but we're going to call this the highest, or the best vantage point anyway. I'm going to do a quick panorama view of what I can see for you guys, but also for me later on. That's the camp down there in the bend of the river. Oh, almost fell over. That's Moonlight Camp down there. That's the old original camp from the miners back in the turn of the century. And then you can see a blue tarp. There's someone tried to put a roof on it, but it didn't work very well. I think that was all bucket lined out there, bucket line dredges, according to my map. And we're back to this mountain. That weird line going across the middle of it. Not sure about that either. Thought we'd walk around the edge of this rock here. Look at the other side. It's kind of like a little shelter there. This looks almost man-made, doesn't it? Right there. I doubt it is. I guess it's possible. Beautiful place. Look at that, that's interesting. And the rock, look at that. That's heated and folded, and that's where the gold comes from. Follows those quartz veins up. When it's molten rock. There's somebody's feathers here. That doesn't look good. Something tore that rock up. It's probably a bear, I guess. Maybe a fox could do that one, but I've seen some that are really ripped back. It's probably an old bear looking for a mouse or something that I can smell up under there. I see there's foxes up here, but I have not seen a single fox. I've seen some scat, but that's about it. That's pretty, look at that. That's nice. Go around the other edge here, see what we can see. Back home in this kind of rock outcroppings, you'd have to watch out for rattlesnakes. They love these kind of rocks in the mountains. But I don't think they have any rattlers up here. No snakes at all. All right, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump back on the four-wheeler and we're gonna mosey on down into that valley right there and check out those scars on the hillside I was showing you. You can't really see them from here, where I think they were hydraulicking. That's the word I keep forgetting, is hydraulicking. I don't know how I keep forgetting that. The monitor is actually the piece of equipment they use. Hydraulicking is the process of blasting the water into the mountainside or the hillside and letting everything wash down. All right, back to the Southern Skin Diver Supply four-wheeler. So as I was headed back down, I glanced over to my left and I see a bunch of rain headed our way. So I boogied over to these rocks and we're going to take a shelter for a few minutes just in case it hits us. You can see it over there in the valley. You can see the sheets coming down. And again, it's coming from that cloud right there. And I think it's going to get us probably. I think it's this edge over here. And again, that's all a function of those thermals I was telling you about earlier in the video, where the sun heats up the tundra and the hot air starts to rise and makes those shimmery mirage-like things that you see. And once it gets up so high, it cools. Boom, baby! Then you have rain, if there's enough moisture in it. And there was enough moisture in that. So we're gonna just kind of hide for a few minutes. I felt it raining just a little bit. I'm gonna grab my shirt because I know the mosquitoes are gonna get bad. And my DEET, you have to have DEET up here. Now some of you guys probably don't like DEET, but it's really the only thing that works. So I'm gonna grab that, which is actually in my pocket. Everything else can stay on the four-wheel and get wet. Grab my weird little drink and we're gonna get on the lee of that rock there and try to get out of some rain before it hits us. I don't think it'll last too long. We can leave the metal detector on the four-wheeler, of course, because, well, it's waterproof, down to 10 feet. We'll see in a few minutes. Climbing up in here, there's some more bones down there. And there's a little rack over, oh, it's a whole skull. Don't know what that is for sure. Kind of neat looking. How to bring it back to camp. We'll just leave it out here. Right where we found it. I wonder if it took shelter in here during the winter when it was really, really cold. Gets like 40, 50 below up here. And I'm sure on the tops of these mountains, it must be incredibly windy and cold in the wintertime. Maybe he crawled in here and died. Or died. You know what I mean. Very interesting. It looks like a shower is going to hit us, but it won't last long, so we'll just hang out here for a few minutes. Let it pass, probably 20 minutes or so. What we have all day. I mean, it's not going to get dark, so it doesn't get dark at night here now. Twilight around 3, but we can still see in that, no problem. All right, let's just hang out. I'll make a seat here. I love this. This is just awesome. This is just awesome. Hear the rain. So it'll definitely get colder here in a couple minutes. I can actually feel it getting colder already. I found the perfect little cubby hole. We'll sit in here right where that caribou or whatever it was died. Because we have a roof over our heads. Look at that. That rock will keep us dry. And we can just watch the rain come and go. I think the majority of it's going to miss us. But there's more behind it, so who knows. See it coming down in sheets over there. I'd be wet as can be if I was out in the open down there. Yeah, we'll just hang out here a few minutes. Well, it did get cooler after that shower passed. There's some more building off that direction, so I'm going to head off the top of the mountain. When we get down in the saddle there, we're going to have to make a decision whether or not we want to drop over to that side where we have never been, or go back the way we came, since we know that route. You know, if it looks like it's going to get really bad weather coming in, we'll go back the way we came. Because I don't want to get up here and get fogged in, because it can get foggy and just like the snap of a finger up here, or you just can't see 5 feet in front of you. And I'd rather not be up here when it does that. I'd rather be in the camp. So, down to the saddle, and we'll make a decision then. Okay, so we made it to the saddle. I think it's just going to be little pop-up rain showers. Very mild though. I don't think we're going to get socked in with fog. So we'll drop down the left side to this other creek I've never been on. Maybe do a little prospecting. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where the Phillips' claim is, but it's on that creek somewhere. Let's do it. Enough yapping. Check out all the ditches you come to make sure nothing's too deep. That looks fine. We're almost to the bottom. Some more showers moving in, but I think we'll be okay. I hope that's not a bear on the hillside over there. It's not moving. And you can look back up the hill to the rocks we just came from. A nice big rain cloud behind it. When you start to get down along these stream banks and all these willows, that's when you really need to be careful with the bear and the moose. Now, being on a four-wheeler, they're going to hear us coming, you know, miles away. So as long as we don't, you know, make an interesting target for the cubs that they want to come and play with us, we'll be okay. You know, the mother bear's not going to chase us down from a mile away unless she feels threatened with her cubs. And the problem is the cubs will want to play with us. They may see us a mile away, and the cubs may come running over. You know, be interested to see what we are and hang out with us, and that's when the mama bear will come right behind them and kill you and then walk away. So, well, maybe not kill you, but you might wish you were dead. That's why I'm carrying a gun today. On that very last clip, when I said that it looked like it would be no problem going down through that ditch, well, there was a little bit of a problem. You can see it drops off right here, and if I had stayed over here, we could have made it no problem and gone on down the hill. But I was over in this area, and I think that's too steep for the four-wheeler, so I'm going to have to back it up. Now, unfortunately, this four-wheeler, when it's in reverse, is not four-wheel drive. Only the back wheel spins, so I'm kind of temporarily delayed right now. So what I did is I hooked up a come along to some branches back there. I'm going to just kind of try to winch it back a little bit, put it in reverse, and pull it up over this hump. The front wheel's got it's on a bad hump. I think that's the problem. You can see right there, that's the fan running on the thing, trying to cool it down a little bit. So I think once we get that up over the hump, we'll be fine. And we'll look for another way down. Not this way. I might hike down there first and kind of take a look at it. We might actually have to go back up a ways and around the where it's not as willowy. Willows aren't good around here. They hide a lot of stuff. And of course we have lots of little friends out here. Those are all mosquitoes flying around. They're not on me too bad yet because I put DEET on earlier. Might have to put a little bit more on after a bit. Actually, they're not on me at all, so that's a pretty good sign. So I think I winched it around enough and have it going straight so we don't go over the edge. But I tell you, we're within inches. It's a long hike back to camp, and this is the only four-wheeler we have, so this better work. So I finally got it out of there. I figured out what the problem with the four-wheel drive unit is. It is that the battery is dead because the alternators aren't charging it for some reason. And in order to get into four-wheel drive, here comes the helicopter, he's coming to rescue me. I hope not. Hope Bruce didn't push the red button. It has to be in four-wheel drive. So to get it in four-wheel drive, you have to have a battery. Now I just happen to have a jumper box with me, so I hooked it up and it works fine now. We have four-wheel drive. I guess not, he's going the other way. Bruce back at camp has a satellite phone with a button you push, and when you push that button, basically it summons a helicopter to come get you. I don't want that, Bill. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up a little bit higher and draw it back down. It looks like it's pretty easy going right there, maybe. Get a little closer to the creek because I want to look at the creek. If we can't do that, we'll walk down there. Let's give her a shot. So I made it down here to the little creek, and what I thought might be exposed dirt is covered with moss and stuff. So I ran the machine a little bit. I'm not hearing anything. A few hot rocks. But one thing that makes me a little bit nervous, and there's something different than I've seen before, is the water is very muddy coming out of this valley. Now it could just be the snow melt, and it probably is, but I've been in other little valleys like this with snow melt, and the rivers have not, or the creeks, streams have not been muddy. So I don't know if there's something big and brown playing in the water up there, a little upriver from us, but I'm not going to find out. We'll mess around down here a few minutes. See, there's lots of quartz cobbles in here, so who knows, we might get lucky. We're going to go ahead and just walk down to this bend where the snow is. I thought that might be exposed bedrock, but it isn't. So we'll look around this little valley just a few minutes and then head back up to the four-wheeler, which you can see up there, kind of right in the middle of the screen. And then we're going to go way back up to the top of that mountain to get out of here. Any nuggets in this area where I'm walking will be buried probably way too deep for me to hear. You can see it's covered with organic matter, and these are loose, so it's not bedrock. All right, so far so good though. We haven't been eating. So we made it back up to the gap. I crossed over the saddle and we're back down in the valley, Monument Valley. And we're going to curve around to the left of this hill, the side of the hill here, back to camp. So if nothing exciting happens, this is the end of our journey today. I hope you enjoyed it. I really did. I had a blast. Learned a few things about this four-wheeler. Got stuck a couple times. You may have seen one. But we're headed back to camp. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.